This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Well, I'll open the meeting. Welcome to the August 1st meeting of the Community Relations Committee. We'd like to thank Easthampton Media for posting our recordings on YouTube. All past meetings of the CRC can be found on Easthampton Media's YouTube account for viewing at any time. So, for the benefit of those joining us from the community, I'd like to start this meeting by sharing our committee's mission statement. Our mission is to promote positive relations throughout Easthampton's diverse population. We'll work to build a sense of inclusion, community, and pride where community members feel welcome, accepted, and valued. So we'll start with roll call. Rebecca Pasa.
Here.
Jan Norman. Marla Solomon. Mary Ansara.
Present.
And myself, Emily Britton. We are here. Great. Okay. So first we'll start with announcements. And I feel like even though public speak hasn't started yet, I feel like we should acknowledge the people joining us tonight. So they are both from the Northampton HRC, Human Relations Committee, Alton McRae, and I missed your colleague's first name. What is your name?
It's Angela.
Angela. Okay. Angela D'Souza. Great. Thanks for joining us. Okay.
Pleasure.
So, first announcement is I was going to announce that the Northampton's HRC has a new chair, Diane Stallone, and their co-chair is Alton McRae, who's been in touch with me. I've talked with him, and I had met their former chair. They're meeting about the 75th anniversary of the Declaration of Human Rights, which is a possible event planned for around December 10th. Will be discussed at a future meeting, right? Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah. Alton sent a really interesting document either this morning or last night about what the UN is planning. Is that true, Alton?
That's what it is. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So, Rebecca, help me with the law, open meeting law. Are we allowed to look at such a document? Or if this is just an announcement, are we not allowed to talk about it?
Well, I don't see a harm in looking at it. I guess what I would say is that, we can't deliberate on things, and we don't have a quorum tonight.
Right.
But I think that probably, I'd say for next meeting, certainly if you'd send it to us by email, we'll be interested in seeing it. And if you can share screen, at least our viewing public can see what that is.
Yeah. Well, I could share my screen and show what he sent. That would be easier. So yeah, we can just look at it together and discuss it, but we just can't deliberate on specific plans yet, right? So
yeah, and we especially can't deliberate behind the scenes. And we did notice the meeting, even though we don't have a quorum. But our charter says, we can meet from time to time without one.
May I suggest that we amend the published agenda so that we can have that discussion now?
Well, it has to be published 48 hours in advance in order to have the discussion. So
but I'm saying, since that's not here in the agenda, that I move that we share and discuss the Human Rights Day announcement.
We can do that in 48 hours. We could get it published and then do that in 48 hours.
Well, I'm saying right now.
But we haven't given the public 48 hours notice. That's why we can't do that.
But we are discussing it.
Well, we're saying that there's a document to be seen, but we're not deliberating like what we're going to do about it.
Okay, let's just move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me find the document. Here it is. Okay. So,
Actually, I suppose it comes under announcements.
right. Okay, so I need to go back to the meeting. So if I hit share screen or present now, is that what I hit?
That's a good question.
I know all these other.
I'm much more, I'm better with Zoom.
I know.
But I'd say, why don't you give it a shot? Wait a minute, Seth.
Right.
I think present now. Why don't you try that?
Okay. Present a window, and then I need to go to a different window. Okay, but I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that?
So you think you're sharing it, but actually I still see faces.
All right. Okay. Oh, wait. Oh. Hold on a second. I don't know. I guess.
Maybe happenstance will prevent us doing it, but
I know.
uh-oh, did we lose Emily? She was trying so hard that she just went right out. So I assume
I suggest that it might be easier and take less time to just read it. I'm like, maybe you could just read it.
Okay. We'll do that.
Why not?
Okay. Okay. So it says human rights 75. It's interesting. High level event. I don't quite understand what high level event means, but it says 10, 11, 12, December 2023 preliminary program. So the Human Rights 75 high-level event will lead to concrete change and progress through pledging events, strengthen the worldwide consensus on the universality and indivisibility of human rights, lead to a vision for human rights for the next 25 years, and feed the summit of the future. So that must be an event because it's capitalized. Highlight 75 years of achievements as well as the work done this year, and create a wave of public support for human rights. So the schedule on one of the days, which is a Tuesday, the 12th, is a roundtable.
Is that the 12th of December?
Yes. There's a roundtable in the morning. Actually, I don't know what time zone this is, but it says the theme is the future of human rights and digital technologies. That sounds fascinating. Roundtable 2 theme is the future of human rights and peace and security. Then there's a lunch discussion with heads of state for government. Then theme is the future of human rights, climate and the environment. And then the last roundtable that day is the theme of the future of human rights, development and the economy. And then there's a plenary session. And it says at the bottom, each roundtable will convene heads of state or government, high-level dignitaries, and a multi-stakeholder group. A think piece will be shared with every participant ahead of time as a basis for discussion. And throughout the day, there will be side events in virtual rooms and in the regional hubs. It says the format is hybrid. Then Sunday, I guess 2 days before that, there's the People's Movement of Solidarity and Support to Human Rights. There'll be candlelight concerts and artistic moments in many cities and villages. Interesting. And then on Monday, sorry, I started with the wrong date, going backwards. Monday is a multi-stakeholder dialogue, feedback and reflections on the past months from each stakeholder group, linking to the goals of Human Rights 75. So voices will come from young people, civil society, mayors, parliamentarians, business community, national human rights institutions, and regional human rights mechanisms. And there's a pledging tree session. There's a lunchtime panel, reflections on how to strengthen the international and regional human rights system and make it fit for purpose. Another pledging tree, and then a generation mix, intergenerational dialogues between, for example, students and human rights defenders, mayors and artists, children and ministers, and possible dialogues around digital and human rights, power and human rights. And then something called You Have the Floor. Human rights experts will address opportunities and challenges around a theme selected by the public. So it all sounds great to me. And I kind of, here's my opinion, we can't deliberate over this, but my opinion is that sort of getting to the basics of human rights and seeing what is being done in the bigger systems might be fascinating and interesting and helpful for our community, I think. So those are my thoughts. Does anyone else have any thoughts they'd like to share, but we can't deliberate?
Well, my thought is if you received that by email, maybe you could just forward that to the rest of us.
Yes.
And now the public knows what it says too.
Yes. Okay.
And we'll certainly want that on our agenda next time.
Yes. Okay.
And also we can put it into the minutes,
Yes. Yes.
right?
We can do that.
And then the minutes will make it a public record.
Yeah.
So I do have thoughts on it, which I think it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing.
Mhm.
And what I would like to see us do, if we do anything, is to tie it to the issues of human rights as they affect our specific community.
Mm-hmm.
And then look at, I mean, I see our current focus on both issues of racial human rights. So that's not exactly the right to say, human rights among people with different backgrounds and different
Mm-hmm.
Positions and perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I can see us focusing on it in connection with the work that we've begun to do to look at what the native roots of our community are, the native roots in history. So often human rights is separated. If you have human rights over here, you have racial justice over here, then you have indigenous sovereignty over here.
Mhm.
And I would like to see it in context, and also the context of issues that we have been dealing with in our city,
Mhm. Mhm.
such as resolutions that have been passed that make it a welcoming city,
Mhm.
such as the one that is being considered on anti-Semitism, the
Mhm.
one that's being considered on ensuring the rights of women seeking assistance,
Mhm.
so that we look at it, we say, what is the context? What does human rights mean to us here in Easthampton today in
Mhm.
2023?
Mhm. 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 Mhm.
Those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah. Thank you for your thoughts, Mary. Yeah. Alton and Angela, do you have anything you'd like to share that we can't deliberate on, but we'd love to hear?
Well, are we going to public speak? Maybe
Why don't, yeah,
Maybe-
sure.
maybe under announcements, I
Okay.
should just report, okay?
Mhm.
I had promised to reach out to Derek Dean, which I did.
Mhm.
Two things.
Mhm.
Normally, he got right back to me. So I'm surprised in a way that he didn't. However, another feature of that is that the cell number I'd had for him, I think rightfully probably was saying that like I wasn't an authorized caller to get through. And so I texted him as well. I realized that my mistake, and what I will do after this meeting is send him email.
Mhm.
But I just wanted to at least say I
Mhm.
hope to report something. I don't have much to report, but
Mhm.
I'm going to send him an email.
Mhm.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, I missed who that was, Rebecca.
Derek Dean.
Mhm.
I wanted to reach out to Derek Dean
Yep.
as we discussed in our last meeting.
Mhm.
So And so I'm still doing that. That's really the
Okay.
the piece of information to come out.
Okay. Okay.
Now, did we want to? Well, this is up to the chair.
Right.
And
Yeah.
when I'm looking, I see public speak as 5 rather than 4. I don't know if that's.
Yeah. I'd like to jump to item 5.
Well, but in terms of announcements,
Oh, yeah.
I have a couple of announcements, but they could either go here or what I'm concerned is that we won't get to item number 9, next steps for establishment of a relationship with the Hessen and Mystic Nipmuc people.
Oh, right. Okay.
So perhaps I could just make 2 announcements.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
And these are 2 announcements that are also invitations, which is that on Sunday the 6th, there's a Nipmuc festival, annual festival up in Turner's Falls that I'm going to go to. It's actually the 5th and the 6th, and I'm going to go on the 6th. And hopefully, well, I'd like to invite the public, if anybody's listening, which other than us here, not. And also I would like to invite all the people who are here. The other thing is that it turns out that the Nipmuc Nation is giving a series of seminars, and I think I forwarded that.
Yes, they look.
But then I wrote to them, and I was in touch with them to see how we can get notices of it. And she said that I'm now on the mailing list, and she will send me notices.
Okay.
And then I will post those. I don't know if at the Human Rights Commission in Northampton, this is also something of interest to you. But if I have emails for you, I can send them those. This is the history of the Nipmuc Nation. It's dialogue. It's 4 or 5 different webinars that are going to take place over the next couple of months.
Yes, that is something we'd be very interested in knowing about and sharing at our upcoming meeting. And yeah, so please forward those.
Well, Emily or Rebecca has your email, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I have it. Yep. Okay. Great. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Mary. Thanks for that. Okay. Well, we'll jump to number 5, which is public speak, so that Alton and Angela can share any thoughts or information. Yeah.
We just ask that you would introduce yourselves and kind of either like street address or maybe your voting ward in Northampton. I'm assuming you're in Northampton.
Yeah, just
Well, voting ward isn't going to mean anything to me.
Yeah,
that's true. That's how we usually treated the public.
But street address is the usual.
right. But I don't even think that's necessary. I think
No,
just
it's not really.
Yeah, because they're not in town. I mean,
No.
you're not in Easthampton, so
No.
maybe you can just say your town.
Yeah.
Shall I go first, Alton?
Yes, please, Angela, you go.
Thank you.
I'm Angela D'Souza. I want to say that I appreciate your being open to our just observing and being part of the public audience. I live in Northampton. I live actually on the bike trail, so I'm about 3/4 of a mile from Easthampton. And so I actually do all my grocery shopping in Easthampton. And I am fairly new to the Human Rights Commission. I believe August was when I started. I'm also an 8th grade teacher in Holyoke. And I also I wear a few different hats. I'm a doctoral student at UMass. And so I really appreciate, I think, is it Mary?
Yes.
I really appreciate from not just a Human Rights Commission perspective, but as somebody who looks at the intersections of classroom teaching practices with respect to social studies and science education and ways in which Indigenous ways of knowing and being are systematically excluded, and epistemology is very Eurocentric or US Americentric and capitalist centric. I really appreciated your reflection that there's often a separation in the way human rights are discussed, Native nation sovereignty and racial justice.
Mm-hmm.
I also am really excited to hear and to like kind of observe how you guys work together and deliberate, even though you're not technically deliberating right now, because we are, we did lose 3 commissioners recently, and so this it's really important that we know what our kind of our counterparts are doing in surrounding towns and cities, but we don't exist in vacuums, and that we can be a support and be allies to one another, even though we are beholden to our individual municipalities.
Right.
And thank you, Alton, also for just bringing me in, as well as Megan. I think I was on an email correspondence with you, Emily, and I just had too much happening at the end of the academic year, and so I apologize that I wasn't able to be present at that gathering.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm curious what you're getting your doctorate in.
Oh, it's in education. So I'm in the math, science, and learning technologies track. I'm going into my 4th year.
Awesome. Congratulations. Yeah. Great. Thanks. Okay. Alton. Yeah.
Yes, my name is Alton McCrae, and I live in Northampton, just off of Damon Road. And I'm on the Human Rights Commission, and my bio states that I am a disabled veteran, and I am an advocate for veterans, and have been for 10 years at least. And my reason for being on the commission is to just be involved in the conversation about equal human rights for all of the people that live here in Northampton and beyond. I am excited about this 75th anniversary of the Human Rights Declaration, and I think it's a great opportunity for us to get out and be seen and have a voice for human rights. I'm excited to have Emily as one of our subcommittee members who are looking at the Human Rights Declaration and trying to prepare an event around that for our communities here. So as I presented this email to Emily, it's basically, for me, it was just a real good format on how we might be able to set up our own events, the process.
Yeah.
So, we'll be talking and sharing and figuring out what we can do collaboratively for Easthampton, Northampton, and anybody else in the immediate area to foster this event. Yeah. Again, I'm glad to be a part of this. I want to say also, I have been to a couple of events that the CRC has put on the past year, and I've been quite impressed. They've been quite enjoyable, and you guys are doing great work and doing it. Yeah.
Great.
What events were you at?
First one was entitled American Courts, was it?
American Justice on Trial.
American Justice on Trial.
Yeah.
And the second one was, refresh me.
It was it was by the professor.
Right.
The one that I didn't make it to because I was sick. But
Yeah, and I had to zoom in, and I'm going to forget the title, right?
Yeah.
What was it about?
The history of slavery in this area.
Yeah.
Wasn't it around Jonathan Edwards and his connections too? Is that the one?
He was definitely discussed.
Yeah.
But it wasn't focused on
That
him.
wasn't the focus. That one was
Okay.
from College Church. That
Okay, I'm confusing.
Yeah.
But they were very, very well prepared and done very well, and a lot of good information. And again, great work you guys are doing over there. So keep doing it.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So as far as you know, Alton, the next meeting, and Angela, the next meeting will be on August 16th when you guys will discuss this stuff, or are we going to have another subcommittee meeting before that?
We will be planning a subcommittee meeting. I don't know if it'll be before or after.
Okay.
We will certainly see what the consensus is for dates and let you know.
Okay, great. Awesome. Okay. Thank you. Thanks. Okay.
I had just one question.
Yeah.
So the Northampton committee, what's your meeting schedule?
Once a month, usually the third Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
We actually just had our first in-person meeting, in my case ever, but prior to the pandemic commencing. So I think that that's what we're going to try to do more regularly.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we definitely recommend in-person meetings. We try to do them. You know, as said, we would have done that tonight. But, okay. Great.
Once you go back to them, you realize how much better they are.
I know. Yeah.
I kind of forgot how different it felt.
Our building's closed, so we couldn't do it.
Right.
And Mary, how are you doing? Did you have a surgery?
Oh, I just had a cataract surgery on my left eye. I had to wait longer than the operation was.
Oh dear.
I mean, it's 10 minutes.
Hopefully it was easy.
10-minute thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully it was very easy and you're fine today.
Yeah.
It was easy. I'm fine.
Good.
You've had it, Alton?
I'm sorry?
Were you saying yes because you've had it?
No, it's kind of interesting. I worked in surgery for many years, and at one point in my career, we used to do tons of cataracts. I think when they started off, they were about 45 minutes to an hour, and now they're down to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
To do one cataract.
So, the Cataract Center in Western Mass, which has doctors come in and do it. Like my doctor's in Northampton, but they do 50 a day, 47 to 50 a day.
Yeah. Wow.
With 2 doctors.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like a factory.
It is.
Right. Right. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you again, everyone. So let's see. I'm going to move on to item number 4.
But they've introduced themselves.
Yes.
But I'm wondering if they have anything to say
Oh, right.
about their work and anything they'd want to share about how they see their work and how it's been important or how it's been challenging. I would love to hear it.
Well, for me, I am very new to this arena of work, but it seems to sit well with me, and I'm excited and hopeful that we can be, a force to just bring this human rights, before people and to think about, in different ways that people don't seem to think about. But there are a lot of issues that are front and center right now, as Mary had mentioned, some of the things, women's rights and racial equity and discriminations against Jewish people. And there's just so many things that are so present right now. So there's a lot of things to do, and just excited to be part of doing the work. But again, new, don't have a lot of experience, but my hand's up, and if there's anything I can help you with, just give a yell.
So I want to hear what Angela has to say too, but my questions are, what kind of events do you do? And do people bring complaints to you? Or how does your commission work?
We haven't had many events. I mean, I don't think we've had any since I joined in August. And that's true, Alton, right? We haven't had, well, we had the reading that we were a co-sponsor of, the reading of
Frederick Douglass's 4th of July speech that was read at Historical Society here in Northampton. So yeah, that's one event thus far. But Angela and I are very new to the commission, and yeah, when you think about the pandemic, there's not been a lot of things that have taken place over the past few years. So yeah, we're just looking to get the ball rolling and more momentum here. Yeah.
And we do get public comments in which people, I don't know if complaints would be the most precise word, but sometimes they are, well, they're not often, but they are like critical of something that's happening in the community and seeking, a venue or seeking allyship in how to address that. But yes, I will echo what Alton said. Like, I'm also relatively new. I'm definitely new to kind of city politics and committees. And I'm not from this part of the United States. So even though I had some earlier experiences working in as an intern in a state legislature, it was a very different political climate. And then I came here by way of graduate school in New York. So lots of kind of cultural acclimation that I had to realize. I've now lived here about 7 years, so I feel rooted.
Yeah. And I know, Alton, you shared with me that you have noticed that once a month meetings is not really enough to get all the work done.
Yeah, it's just, well, again, I'm glad, as Marion mentioned, that we are meeting in person, because it just makes the connections that much more meaningful, and we can sort of chat a little bit differently than we do on Zoom. And yeah, but it's hard to get things nailed down once a month, and I don't know if you guys experience that as well, but that's it seems to me. So yeah. But for now, at least meeting in person helps, I think, a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't want you to go without hearing that information.
Yeah. Thanks, Mary. Okay, so back to item 4, which is about a discussion, or it's about discussing a community-wide effort to learn how to navigate constructive communication on polarizing topics. So I've been in touch with Jenny Papa George in Easthampton, who I must say is extremely thoughtful and insightful. And then we have been talking with Essential Partners, this group based out of Boston, which does this kind of work. Let me just quickly read something to you. They have helped civic groups, faith communities, colleges, and workplaces foster resilience and cohesion. And Jenny and I have talked about what might be best. And we think that someone from Essential Partners can come to our next meeting. So I thought the best use of our time tonight might be to collect any questions that you all might have for them, and then they could address them when they come to our next meeting. Jenny and I think that like Essential Partners is very much about training the facilitators of spaces where there's already a sense of trust, like for example, church leaders, where they already have a population coming in, and there might be businesses, there might be things like the Rotary Club. These are a lot of Jenny's ideas. I want to give her credit for that. But like training the facilitators as opposed to trying to get members of the community to all come, what if we instead work with the people who are already talking to community members? And Essential Partners has experience with that. They've worked with various towns, and one of them is Wellesley, Mass. And we're going to try and get some references to ask them some questions. But there's also this idea of, like, should the Community Relations Committee be able to give a toolkit out to people who run classrooms or businesses or, clubs, health clubs, whatever it might be. Should we be helping them by providing some sort of toolkit on how to speak, in a nonviolent way about difficult topics when that comes up, and how to just improve communication? I'm wondering if any of you have questions that we could write down, and about what kinds of things we should ask Essential Partners when they present their methods, and we discuss a proposal for how they could help us. Yeah.
So I have an idea.
Uh-huh.
All this reminds me of two programs that I worked with when I worked at Cooperative Extension Service, which might even still be a service available to us if they still do this kind of thing, and it wouldn't cost us anything either. One of them was called Master Teacher. And I actually used that in Lowell, Massachusetts, when I was director of organizing there. What the Master Teacher does is it trains facilitators. It finds the natural leaders in the community and trains them to lead others. In this case, it would be in having difficult conversations. Cooperative Extension also had, and this was in the 80s, a model that had come from the National Cooperative Extension Service. For those who don't know, it's part of the USDA, Department of Agriculture, and it's at land-grant universities all over the country. And what you probably know is 4-H. But they also do extraordinary work with homeless people, with farm women, with animals. I mean, it is an incredible use of our tax dollars, this service. It's diminished in Massachusetts because our county system was dismantled. But basically, it was formed to develop leadership among farm communities and later on urban communities. And as you know, with 4-H, young people. So a couple of programs were developed in the 80s. One was this Master Teacher program, which is an incredible model for us, I think. And the other is this program, I can't remember what it was called, but it took specific topics that are controversial and difficult and trained people in how to discuss them. So I'm thinking that it could be that we could use Essential Partners. It could be that we could see what Cooperative Extension Service still has to offer, and they're right over there. But I love the idea of us learning how ourselves, and then training people in the community, not in just institutions. They might belong to an institution, but it might just be the person who's the natural leader in their block. How to have constructive communication and polarizing topics, because that's what the CRC is all about.
Right. Right.
So I would like us to try to think about it from that perspective. Not that we're going to train sort of elites who already have a position and whatever, but that we are going to train members of our community how to talk to each other about difficult things, and that we will train ourselves and then provide some leadership. What do people think of that?
I think it's a good idea. Definitely. What if so you sound like you have a lot of faith in cooperative extension services, so I'd love to like talk to them too. But if you were, let's say you were you know, like you are a proponent of cooperative extension services, what might you ask your competitor if Essential Partners was a competitor? Like what questions would we ask them to find out if they would be doing?
Frankly, I don't like to think of them as a competitor.
Right. I don't mean that.
And I don't, I mean, the only
alternative.
difference,
Yeah.
but the reason I bring this up is that I would like to ask Essential Partners not to train the elite professionals who do this for a living. I would like us to think about training the natural leaders of the community, meaning the people who actually want to do this. That's all a natural leader is. You know, they're like the busybodies, the organizers, the people who come out. So the question for Essential Partners would be, do you feel comfortable training members of the community to do this, not just representatives of organizations? And I don't think cooperative extension is, I don't want to think of it as a competitive. I want to think of it as, if we decide that what we need to do is ourselves learn and help others in the community learn how to navigate constructive communication on polarizing topics, what's our best tools for doing that? And Essential Partners might be it. It might be Cooperative Extension Service. It might be Daryl. I mean, we don't know. But I think we should fix on our goal, not the means to the goal, not just the means to the goal.
Yeah, except we still need to,
frankly, I would like to look at their model, because I've worked with Master Teacher, and I've worked with this other program which name I can't think of. So I would like to look at their model.
Okay.
Because as I'm saying, I have some training in this.
Right.
I don't know that I'm particularly good at having difficult constructive communication on polarizing topics. I'm just saying that it's something that you have too. I think all of us have.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's something that we can gift to the community.
Right. Okay. Right, Rebecca, do you have any thoughts? Yeah.
Yeah, so, well, I feel like I'm coming out at this, without that experience like you have, Mary. Something that is meaningful to me is kind of a model called consultation, where you're actually trying to hear all the voices. So it's really not even about leaders, although I understand that, if we can start by learning to do this, then we'll know how to encourage the conversations. There was a time when a group called Better Angels, now it's called Braver Angels, it caught my eye. Now, I mean, they're probably too political for my taste, but I thought and also another thing is in order to have the conversation, then they were saying, okay, are you red or blue? And you had to pick one. Are you conservative or liberal? And I feel like, well, people are more complicated than that. But they did have, and I have to admit, I didn't go to their events because I didn't have the time that was all day or whatever it was. But I paid some attention, so it seemed like they'd have a topic, and they wanted to take turns to have people hear each other and feedback, and to really flesh out at least, let's say, at least two sides to whatever the question was. I mean, one problem is that you've got red and blue and purple and orange and yellow, you know, because everybody's a little different. You're not really neatly put into two groups of anything, honestly. So I guess my question then for a group like Essential Partners, you know, I guess that in addition to what Mary said, or along the lines, is, you know, how are you approaching it? Is it really somehow training trainers? How do you get the voices of the people who don't get heard? You know? And hopefully that's a part of this. And how do we, you know, I would expect that some of this training would be about listening to each other. I think that's a huge part of it.
Right.
So I don't know if my remarks are all that clear, but that's kind of, this is what my attitude is.
Right. Yeah. And like, so your question, how do you get the voices of the people who don't get heard? Do you mean, like, are you wondering if we would get those people to go to this training, or just like eliciting it from the community?
I certainly see value in our becoming trained so that we ourselves can continue working to forge a good relationship with the community as a whole. It'd be great as we go along to develop collaborations and relationships with, you know, to have events together, to have it with our library, our film festival, different people get to know each other. But when we're thinking about constructive dialogue, I feel like to talk together about what your views are and how you're feeling, that can be really tricky. So I think by the time the general public would come, they'd have to be pretty comfortable with us and feel like they can come, and maybe whether it's picking a side or sharing thoughts. One of the things that the Mayor's Pledge work group tried to do was to set up listening sessions and invited the community. It was not well attended.
Right.
You know, and that was a listening session. We're trying to hear what do the people in the community think about policing in this case, or whatever the topic is. I think maybe an end goal, or a goal along the way, is to get to where we can have a successful listening session. But yeah, would it take training us at first, or training some people at first? Sure it would. But like getting to a goal of where it's not just already leaders being leaders, that we do reach the natural people, and we do then include as much of a diversity of voices as we can, because, you know, sometimes there's a perspective and it's just amazing. And we'd like to hear it.
Right. Okay. Okay. Any other thoughts about this?
You know, I just checked quickly on Cooperative Extension was decimated by first Michael Dukakis and then William Weld. And I don't know what's left of it. If the family and community services part of it is still there, I think there's something wonderful about connecting with something that's local,
Mm-hmm.
here to serve us
Mm-hmm.
through our federal and state tax dollars.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and also, I mean, what we're talking about this is also, it's also Paulo Freire, if people here have know him.
Mm.
He was a Brazilian educator of the poor, actually. But the idea of Paulo Freire is that each one teaches one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that basically you learn as a community
Mm-hmm.
to teach each other about the things that are important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's reading or relations.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that would be a wonderful thing for us to do as the CRC.
Mm-hmm.
If that is essential partners, good.
Mhm.
If it is, if it's something that we didn't have to spend money on,
Right.
how much better would that be?
Right. 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 Mm-hmm.
And for two reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is what I loved about working at Cooperative Extension Service. So there were 78 people who worked for it
Mm-hmm.
before it was dismantled.
Mm-hmm.
And they had 5,000 volunteers,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
And it's a model that is so dedicated to community
Mm-hmm.
in every sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's just coming to mind as we discuss this. I'm not against essential partners at all. I don't know them.
Right.
And they might have exactly the model we need.
Mm-hmm. So, just can you clarify? You said that CES was decimated, but they're not gone? Like you can still contact them. You know who you could reach there.
Oh yeah, they're still at UMass.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know what programs they have left. I mean,
Okay.
obviously they still have a lot of agricultural programs and they still have 4-H,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know what else they have.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be happy to contact them.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think also it's important to continue to explore essential partners.
Mm-hmm.
And among other things, to see what model they have, what model they use.
Right.
The only thing that I was saying about them is rather than it being the Rotary Club, and you know, rather than being these people of authority, that we think of it as something that can be community based.
Mm-hmm.
It's also in our interest because, of course, we're trying to increase the commission.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So next steps are I will send these questions to essential partners. I'll get their agreement about whether they can attend our next meeting after we all just confirm our next meeting. And then Mary will contact someone at CES. Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay. So the next item on the agenda is any minutes to be approved.
So that's where we don't have a quorum.
Oh, right. So we can't, right.
You know, I haven't gotten them to you yet, but
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
But, you know, it occurs to me, one thing I haven't done is gone back to see if there's minutes that need ratifying. For example, if we approve some with less than a quorum, we might want to ratify those at some point in time.
Do you have time in the next month to figure out which ones those are?
Well, I think optimistically, somehow right now, everything came together. So like today, for example, seemed phenomenally busy.
Mm-hmm.
But there are things that are improving for me. And so I feel like it's always hard for me to know yes or no, but I think so. Okay.
Okay. We can say that. Yes. Okay. Just do your best. I understand. You are a volunteer and very hardworking. So
now thanks for everything you've done, Emily. I love the fact that you've been talking to these folks. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So let me ask, are the minutes up to date in terms of writing them up?
No, they're not. Because even with the ones from last time, which I wanted to present, there are some further older ones. So that, I mean, so I've got that to do, and I know it's an ASAP thing. I'm aware that it is. We'll get there.
Yes, we will. Yeah. Okay. Next agenda item is brainstorming on a CRC contribution to the Easthampton Porch Fest.
Dun, dun,
Yes.
dun.
Yeah.
And thank you for talking to Pasqualina. So
Yeah.
how's
Yeah.
that looking?
Yeah, it went well. I ran into her at Art Walk night, which I
Wonderful.
wanted to go to because that's where I always run into community members. And sure enough, there she was in the gallery at ECA. And I told her that I was interested, and that we were interested, and she was like, great, but send us your ideas, so I liked your idea, Rebecca, but we've got to like, it would be really great if we could like write this up tonight so that we could send it off to her, because I have a few busy nights coming up and she wanted it ASAP.
Well, right. Well, so I think my idea was, well, gee, what task?
Hold that thought 1 second. What I would like to know is if Angela and Alton are being polite, or if they really want to be here.
Oh,
Because
I'm hoping they
also give them a chance to leave.
Oh, I hope you're not
That's what they
feeling
want to
stuck.
do.
Yeah.
No, I personally do want to be here. I also am cooking, so I'm sorry that sometimes I turn my video off. That's one of the benefits of being on Zoom sometimes.
Right, right.
But if that's like distracting, I can like
No,
keep
no,
it
no,
off
no,
the whole
no. I
time.
just thought
I
this
think
might not be what you signed up for.
Yeah.
No, it totally is. And
we might be
it's-
hungry though.
I cannot. I don't have that, Wonka
No.
vision.
Well, if I understood you right, you may want to observe us just as I might want to come and observe you.
Totally.
Exactly.
But please do not feel stuck. You can leave at any time. And with these remote things, bing, you're gone, And it's understandable. Some people, they have, let's say that children come. Somebody tells me that the food is done like right over here. I'm in a meeting, Max. Yes, thank you. My food's done, but okay, it's gonna wait.
I know what that's like too.
But you never
And
know.
Alton, are you sticking here because you're interested?
Yeah, very interested.
Well, of course you'd be
and,
interested. Of course you wouldn't say if you weren't.
no, very interested, and yeah, I'm glad to be here. So continue on.
Okay.
And of course, we know that when it's time for you to go, you just go.
Yes.
No problem.
Okay.
Well, if I did have to go, which I don't think that's the case, I do want to preemptively say goodbye, but I think I'm going to be here until the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Rebecca.
Yes. What was your idea? I don't remember.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I think what I was gonna say. So this is about your talking to Pasqualina. So in general, it occurred to me that there might be a lot on her plate in terms of things to do to pull it off. So one question is, would a co-sponsorship, A, be doable for us? We would volunteer. B, be appealing to her. I think, to some extent, there are some activities that I had attended or eavesdropped or zoomed in on in Sudbury, Massachusetts, and those were events that had multiple co-sponsors. And I just thought one of the benefits is those relationships again, that if we can work with Pasqualina and it can work well, then we improve our relationship there. And hopefully that just help the whole city benefit from very creative and interesting events. So I was thinking, gee, because I kind of looked up, I think I looked up the idea of the porch events, there's various needs. Do we need to worry about whether there are like porta potties anywhere? Because if people are coming through and here to here and here, Are there any public bathrooms? And if there are, do we need to, kind of have people to direct them? Would the whole effort be helped by, let's say almost tour guides or, facility directions? This is in New City, Easthampton, which is a residential area. So there used to be corner markets a long time ago. My spouse will tell you he's a native of this town for a long time. But I don't know that there's, public bathrooms, for example, in New City anywhere these days. I had no idea, honestly.
Right. Yeah, I think they're certainly thinking about all of the things. So what could we, as a co-sponsor, what could we offer to them?
Well, what is the plan is, as I understand at Porch Fest, they simply have musicians that go to one porch or another porch. So, I think your question is the right question, Emily. What would we have to offer? What would we want to offer? What's realistic for us to even think of taking on?
Right.
But do we know what the plan is?
Well, she told me, I think it's going to start like noon or 1 and go until dark. That was their idea initially. Like they still had a whole lot to talk about. They had a whole lot to figure out.
What's the date?
They have no idea if it's going to be super, super popular. They have no idea if it's only going to bring 50 people or several hundred or several thousand. Like right now, they have no idea. They have to pay money to have our police department close some roads. Apparently that costs money. I thought it was just letting them know ahead of time, but I guess it's, and they are planning on having some sort of tour guides or some sort of like,
What is the date?
Is it September 24th, Rebecca?
I'm looking at their website. I was even thinking, what if I try to share my screen? It says choose what to share. So forget it because I don't know what I'm doing. It says Saturday, September 30th, 2023, with a rain date of Sunday, October 1st.
Right. Yeah.
And so, I'm thinking, although, it's tough for me to, sometimes scheduling is hard for me, but one resource is just, let's say, the volunteers. So like, what if I block this out on my calendar right now? But I'm thinking, it'd be cool if I knew a really cool band or something and could contribute that, great. But otherwise I'm thinking, well, what little unseen things are actually needed where some volunteer work is going to be helpful. And just because we're using people's porches doesn't necessarily mean we get to use their bathrooms, right? And I'm only thinking about that as
Absolutely
a little amenity because if you've got a lot of people coming through, they have needs.
Right. I'm sure they're thinking about that, but in terms of like manpower, but a co-sponsor, so like we were co-sponsors with the film festival event, and were we co-sponsors with the slavery and emancipation event? But
I think that other event that Alton mentioned, we got our logo on there, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
That was a co-sponsor with another group, so it's not, let's just say that people did work.
Right.
So I think from experience that some of the co-sponsorship there was, finding some people to talk. And a lot of the things you did, finding some goodies for people to eat. We had a venue, so, they had facilities. And I'm not really trying to say that that's the only thing I'm concerned with, but I'm just thinking about people to help, volunteers to be present to help with people's needs in one way or the other. And I feel like, some of that would go into what has Pasqualina already arranged for and what does she need?
Right.
I know she's looking for our idea,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm just wondering if she's seeing any areas of need as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I want to put on September 30th, Porch Fest, and
So-
it could be.
Here's what I'm thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I love the whole idea.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to know what's in it for us.
Right.
As the Community Relations Committee.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know if we co-sponsor,
Mm-hmm.
both what does that mean is needed, but also what does it mean that we want?
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of the latter, what I can think of is there a way that we can help?
Mm-hmm.
You know, here we are with Let All Voices Be Heard.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way that we can contribute? I mean, if we were co-sponsor, we could either be an equal partner or we could be a sort of partner and a helper.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I can think of is to help identify
Mm-hmm.
neighborhoods and even people
Mm-hmm.
that would contribute to the all voices being heard part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, well, they're talking about just doing it in one neighborhood, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In which neighborhood?
Well, it's the area called New City, right?
In New City.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in New City, that also includes, for instance, Parsons Village,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
right? So we can contribute to trying to think through
Mm-hmm.
who should be approached.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if Pasqualina would want that.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing we can think through is different groups that would play
Mm-hmm.
on the porches. And again, I don't know if she wants that. And the other thing we could help with, I mean, all we're thinking of it from the point of have all voices being heard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we might know
Mm-hmm.
it's complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that we could contribute as co-sponsors would be to find sponsors out there among businesses and organizations.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's hard when we're just sort of coming in and saying, all right, do you want us as a co-sponsor? And if so, then what does that mean you want from us?
Mm-hmm.
Then when it's actually happening, there is, as Rebecca was saying, there's the idea of being guides and helpers and whatever.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
But also, are we just going to have our logo on it? Is something we do?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we actually going to take advantage of it by having our famous questionnaires?
A survey.
Our famous surveys. Or
Right.
are we going to have literature?
Right.
Or there's probably no chance in the world by September 30th we will have advanced where we actually are working on constructive communications and polarizing topics where we could put out notices of, come to this.
Right. It would be really nice if we had a few dates hammered out by then. It would be so awesome. But
It's
yeah,
not
and we
likely.
we could also be putting up a sign for recruiting new members, right?
Right.
But,
I mean, we might be able to get so far as to say, save the dates.
mhm,
Look
right.
forward to training in how to have
Yeah.
constructive dialogues on
Yeah.
polarizing topics.
Right. Right. Right.
But are we prepared? How much work are we prepared to do? Because, also just putting our name on it is not a bad thing.
Right.
There's 4 of us.
Right. I know.
So how much could we actually do? And how much time would that take away from
Mhm.
this long list of other things we want to do?
I know.
I've just talked myself into thinking that what we should do is offer to co-sponsor and say that means we'll volunteer on the day.
Well,
And can we have our literature, please?
Well, and you know what? I mean, maybe we'd like to go walk around New City a little bit, but I'm looking at the website and it looks to me like the date to apply to be a musician, for example, has gone by July 25th.
Right.
So
Well,
both
that's
to be,
good, because I've just talked myself out of thinking that we can do very much.
Yeah.
so it says if you'd like to be a host, if you'd like to perform, the deadline is Tuesday the 25th. Okay. So, but you know, maybe if we had some kind of table, and the city says like we get to borrow its tables and tents, right? And I don't know if it were agreeable to Pasqualina, maybe we could, and if we could find a spot that was also agreeable, just to put our little table and say, look, what if we put some physical volunteers there? We will try to help direct people. Oh, this is that way, go that way. But we'll be right there with our little table, right? And then we can have our questionnaire. Oh, so what does it require? It requires my putting it on my calendar and saying I'd better save that day and tell my husband he's coming and he's not going out that day.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but here's another idea. I have to say that September 30th to October 8th is also Save the World Day for another organization I work with. And I don't know whether I'm going to be free on September 30th. I'm now going to start advocating for us to have it any day other than September 30th. Save the world tomorrow. That's what I say. But thinking again that there's just four of us.
Yeah.
What do you think, Rebecca, of rather than having a table, we offer to be guides, and we make ourselves some kind of big button, and we have literature. So while we're taking people around, we say, yes, we're from the Community Relations Commission. We're a co-sponsor. And by the way, do you know what we do? Here's what we do.
Right.
And would you like to do a questionnaire? So that actually we're going around and seeing everybody rather than sitting still and hoping that they want to talk to us.
So somewhere I've got that big red button, right? And maybe if Pasqualina doesn't mind, we can say that the community relations folks are guides and we can wear these.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. See, this might be what you're talking about. So you need one.
You got more than one?
Oh yeah, I've got 11 of them, Mary, and we were wearing them the night that I met you at Luthier's for American Justice on Trial. Yeah.
Well, I was just so fascinated by your face. I didn't see it, Emily.
Yeah. But anyway, and
so
sponsorship also include giving them some money. Like, can we tell the mayor that we'd like to give, $200 towards Porch Fest, and we'll provide $200 worth of lemonade or something? I don't know.
Tonight we can't.
Yeah.
What's that?
Right. We can't decide tonight, right? But
that's right.
But we can talk about it as a night. Is $200? That sounds kind of pitiful.
I know it does.
Yeah, but we don't have a huge budget. Sometime when we have a quorum, we probably should talk about whether, at some point when and how we'll present a budget to city council, which we've never done.
Right.
Well, going back to Emily's point, maybe what we should say is, and what would you like as a financial contribution or an in-kind contribution?
Yeah, what would be a rich?
So co-sponsorship, guides with freedom to give out our own stuff, and some kind of a contribution.
And freedom to give out. We can also give out city art stuff too. Because we're supporting. I feel like part of the co-sponsorship is just that this bringing neighbors and musicians together is bringing people together. So,
Wait a minute. I've had a brainstorm.
Yeah.
Stop the word. I've had a brainstorm.
Okay.
What about if we had couldn't be too expensive. In fact, I know it isn't. If we had aprons made up that said Community Relations Commission, and then we had pockets in which we could put the literature and pins to give people that we would think of, some slogan that, and we could go, what do you think of that?
I don't think I want to wear an apron. I don't know. It seems like what do we have? I don't know. Am I being too generous?
Don't think of it. Don't think of it as a homemaker's apron.
Right.
Think of it as a carpenter's apron.
Carpenter's apron. Right.
And maybe just waist down, just to have pockets.
Yeah.
Just because you'll need pockets if we don't have a table.
And also because it'd be a big slogan.
Oh yeah.
And also we could give out buttons if we could think of something good to put on them.
Yeah.
Like community unity, something.
We could have a whole bunch of buttons that list all of the human rights, and people could pick which one they want to wear for the day.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Like that. I don't know. I mean, Pascalina definitely wants to hear our ideas, and it sounded like she kind of wanted to hear some real tangible ideas, and she was hoping they would be creative and yeah.
Which Fest really speaks for itself. I think what we can offer is co-sponsorship, contribution, and 4 bodies as guides. Guides and helpers.
Right.
Do I see a hand, Angela?
Sorry, I was just wondering, are we allowed to comment or to comment on, or are we just, I don't know the protocol.
I think as chair, I'm allowed to say, yes, go ahead. We'd love to hear an idea from you, Angela. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I like all of your ideas. And at the same time, I want to actually ask or discourage the idea of passing out buttons, because a lot of buttons I don't know what percentage, they do end up, in waterways, after disposing of them, and just thinking about the various, I was just in the Philippines, and the kinds of debris that wash up on the shores that come from all over the world.
I had no idea buttons were part of that.
I mean, I didn't see any buttons, but I'm pretty sure that any debris that thrown away. I honestly didn't see any buttons on the beach, but
but you saw a lot of stuff though.
Yeah. And I mean, this isn't only in the beaches of Southeast Asia or Asia, but
I agree totally. I was just trying to think of how to distribute the idea of human rights and what people might want to be about that day, or if they were to choose something they really value. But I totally agree. I've picked up buttons at various events, and then they just go into a little thing, and then I end up throwing them out. Yeah, it's terrible.
I did the same, and I imagine. So I know the Smith College Museum of Art has had, and the STEAM, the science, technology, engineering, art, and math. There's this center or office at the Smith College. At Smith College, they do have activities that are very ecologically conscious. That you can create, or you can have options for a human right. One of the focus, you could offer all 30 if you wanted, and there could be some kind of art or crafting activity that would be less impactful on our waste streams. But that was just my 2 cents, just because I feel strongly about it. But I also pick up buttons and buttons, and I periodically have to sort through my stuff, make room for other things. So
Exactly.
Well, I don't sort through I have a button collection that goes back to probably the 70s at least.
You're very lucky.
It's a valuable relic, which nobody in my family will want, so it's going to have to go someplace.
I think that buttons are awesome. I also have to share a small space with someone. And
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for being willing to hear my comment.
Oh, you're welcome. No, you're welcome. And I hear you. Yeah. And I think there'll be a lot of other people who would think the same thing. It would be like, no, 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 I don't want that. You know. So
It's so easy to get carried away with what seems like a good idea at the moment.
right.
All right. So we're back to our three things.
Yeah.
Co-sponsor, help on the day,
Mm-hmm.
contribute.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then also give out things about us. Use it to
Mm-hmm.
do the, I mean, maybe maybe we should do a new survey. Maybe we should do a survey on human rights.
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah, and
Just do that.
I've
And
also thought of,
also announcing the Human Rights Day is coming.
mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
And also announcing our plan to engage people in navigating constructive communications and polarizing
Mm-hmm.
topics.
Right. I know. I was also thinking by then we might have learned some of, I mean, I teach communication at my work. So I could whip up a handout on that. I mean, I have a handout on that already, but like some sort of like poster, you know, if we had a table, I know, you know, then we could advertise some things on how to talk to your neighbors when you know there's a difference, you know, or, you know, I don't know, some inspiring quotes about how community doesn't need to be that someone is right. Like, it's not about that. It's simply about finding connections and common interests, and a neighborhood can really be a supportive neighborhood, even if people have wildly divergent views on the big topics, but everyone still wants to have a safe and clean street and stuff like that, you know?
And you know what we might also have by then?
Mm-hmm.
Is a handout on our educational programs on our forebears. The next
Right. Yeah.
So it might be useful to us and we might be useful to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think it would be good to have a goal set as a goal, like those three things,
Mm-hmm.
which now seem to be
Mm-hmm.
programmatic agenda for us. Human rights.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think a survey would be great, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, wouldn't it be interesting to publish that
Mm-hmm.
as what the community thinks are the most important human rights?
Right.
But that we can talk about later. Communicating on difficult topics,
Mm-hmm.
and the native history of where we live.
Mm-hmm. 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 Right. Yep.
It's kind of a lot to get done by September 30th, but we don't have to have everything in place.
Right.
We can have, you know, it could be more like save the dates kind of thing, or
Mhm.
this is what we're working on. Let us know if you'd like to. Oh, that's a thought. This is what we're working on. Let us know if you'd like to be involved.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We're working on human rights. We're working on constructive dialogues. We're working on the native history of where we live.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Call this number if you'd like to work on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, which is a lot better than saying, do you want to join the Human Rights Commission? First,
Right.
we show them how wonderful we are, and then we say, and what about joining?
Yeah. That's a good idea. Yep. I love
When
it.
they see how much fun we're having,
I know.
we should just have brought the cookies to the meeting.
Right.
Virtual cookies.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, to this meeting, yeah, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we're in person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm aware that we have many more things on the agenda. When did people want to end? Did they want to end by 8 or 8:30 or
Well,
by now?
by 8. I've been in 3 meetings,
Oh God. Yeah.
repotted some plants, and I haven't had dinner.
Yeah. Me
And
neither.
there's nobody to cook it for me.
Oh, me neither.
No.
Do you remember the early days we met for like an hour?
I know we
You know?
did.
And
that
so,
was when we had like 10 people. Yeah.
Yep. And here we are, an hour and a half. I mean, so I
Mhm.
yeah, I
Well,
believe
I
me.
would like to get through number 8 and number 9.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I would like to go.
Yeah. Okay. So the next step on this one, I could probably write this up and send it to Pascalina tomorrow night. I don't have Pascalina's email address yet, but I could get it.
It's right in there. It's right on the city website.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Do you guys trust me to write it up, or do
Yes.
I trust
Totally.
you. Right? Absolutely.
That'd be wonderful.
And guess what? If you meet with her,
Mhm.
since obviously it'll be before August 22nd,
Mhm.
I can try to come
Mhm. Mhm.
because I'm thinking you take on an awful lot. I
Yes.
can at least try to come to a meeting with you, not without you.
Right.
With you.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And August 22nd is the next ECA meeting. Is that what you're saying?
August 22nd, I leave for Australia.
Oh, when you leave. I see. Okay. Before. Okay. Okay. And when do you come back?
And we have to do it a lot before that, I think, if we're going to be part of this.
So when are you gone, Mary?
August 22nd to September 15th.
Oh, wow.
It's Australia. It's a long way away.
Oh, absolutely. I know. You can't go there for a
we
night.
may have to call special meetings, but I guess see how it goes,
Yeah.
Emily, and
Okay. Okay. We'll see what she says. Okay. Okay. Item number 9, next steps for the establishment of a relationship with the Hassanamisko.
Oh, they said it's number 8. We're number 8.
Oh, I'm sorry. I turned the page. I'm sorry. Yeah, number 8 is a CRC contribution or, participation in some way with outreach. And one might be about the anti-Semitism ordinance that's currently under consideration by the city council.
I want to say for the record
Yeah.
that until about 30 or 40 years ago, I also was considered Semitic. All Arab and Middle Eastern people were.
Mm-hmm.
And I told that to a Bangladeshi friend today, and she said also she was considered Semitic. So I wish the term were anti-Jewish and not anti-Semitic, but I've realized I have to accept it, even though it excludes me.
I see. Okay.
So that's just in the recorded record.
Okay. Okay. I was not aware of that, Mary. Yeah.
well, if you come right down to it, you know, if somebody that is a Semite is descended from Shem or Sem, that includes a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but specifically, it was always used to refer to Middle Eastern people.
Mm-hmm.
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 I grew up thinking that I was Semitic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think
Able to just give me a little bit of insight on what that ordinance is?
Mm.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's gosh, I could probably find it and read it a bit. Do you want to wait a minute?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have it right there?
Yeah, hold on a second.
I've got an article on it,
Okay.
but not the thing itself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Should have got it.
The proposed resolution prompts elected officials and city leaders to sign on to the pledge to speak up against anti-Semitism at Massachusetts against anti-Semitism, and urges the city to make efforts to recognize Holocaust Remembrance Day.
Mm-hmm.
The measure includes historical acknowledgement of centuries-old anti-Semitism and the murder of 6 million Jews by the German Nazi regime during the Holocaust, and the acutely increasing incidence of anti-Semitism, including white supremacists and neo-Nazi groups calling for a day of hate in February.
Here, here. I second that. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it is 3 pages long, and it says, at the end says, like, be it resolved that the City Council of Easthampton hereby rejects the perpetuation of anti-Semitism and through anti-Semitic tropes, including the pernicious myth of dual loyalty and foreign allegiance, condemns anti-Semitic acts and statements as hateful expressions of intolerance, calls on elected officials, faith leaders, and civil society leaders to use their platform to confront the reality of anti-Semitism and to condemn and combat any and all manifestations of it. Call on social media platforms to institute stronger and more significant efforts to measure and address online anti-Semitism while protecting free speech. So it's very much about human rights, really.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. So,
Well, I suggest we issue a statement supporting it. Of course, we have to vote on that.
Right.
And I don't know if there's time to do that before it comes up, but I think it would be very appropriate for us to issue a statement. I don't know. Yeah, I would like to. I don't know if how that fits. And also in Cambridge, where I lived for 30 years, we had an annual Holocaust commemoration. And the designated day is January 27th. That was extraordinarily meaningful.
Yeah.
And we don't have a synagogue here, but in Easthampton. But that doesn't mean we couldn't hold it.
Yeah. And do you think it would be at all appropriate to, seek out the leaders, people in the faith communities that we do have here, and to suggest that they also support it, or
Yes.
something like that, and
Yes, I think it would be. I mean, I think we should consult with City Council about whether they would like us to take that on. But I think it's very appropriate within our mandate to do that. To issue a statement and to ask the faith leaders here. And it could be, even though we don't have a synagogue here, that we do have, I know somebody who's not a rabbi, but he is appointed to be able to hold things like Shiva, things like, we may have somebody here.
Okay.
And we certainly could ask that at the synagogue in Northampton. Who's here.
Right. I have a question of law or something. Like, are we, if we support this ordinance, it's human rights, and accepting diversity and the whole bit, and against violence and all that. Are we allowed to, approach the faith leaders ourselves without getting approval from the whole city council? I'm sure, I know that Ellen Zarrett would welcome our help with that. But do we have to have the whole city council? And would it be looked at as a political move if the ordinance hasn't been approved yet by the whole city council? And I don't really know where it is. Is it still being?
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
That is a very good point. And the people to ask is the ordinance committee.
Oh, the ordinance committee. Okay. Is that where it is, Rebecca? Is that where it still is? Do you know?
I rather thought now without remembering. I feel like because I even wanted to put it correctly on the agenda,
Mm-hmm.
that I tried to see where it was. I feel like a subcommittee has it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
But
I
in
might,
terms of Emily's question, that would be the ordinance committee
Mm-hmm.
or the rules committee.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it might be with the rules committee. That might be the term of art there.
Okay.
Frankly,
Mm-hmm.
Dan Rist or Tom Peake would know the answer to this. Dan Rist, because he's been doing this so
Mhm.
very, very long
Mm-hmm.
and is very big on ordinance and charter.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Peake, because he's such a
Mm-hmm.
he's such an intellectual powerhouse, you know, that he researches and he knows these things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that appropriately we should ask the ordinance committee.
Okay. Okay. So, would one of you like to take that on?
I'll do that.
Okay.
So you want me to check in with the ordinance or rules committee,
Mm-hmm.
which might be the same committee,
Mm-hmm.
about the status of the ordinance,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you want me to ask them about the proposed outreach in
Mhm.
support of it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Just
Okay.
make sure that we can do that. I think we can, but because it sounds like it's just communication.
You know what? If it's not passed, it may be that we can't. It may be that it may be that we cannot.
Right.
But the other thing to ask is whether we have to think of we're a community relations committee.
Mhm.
So de facto, de jure, we have authorization to express our opinion on anything that has to do with human rights.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The question is, if we were to issue a statement, what form could it take
Mm-hmm.
when it's an ordinance
Mm-hmm.
that has not yet been passed? It may be, just thinking aloud,
Mm-hmm.
that we can issue a statement decrying anti-Semitism in all its forms
Mm-hmm.
and calling for or supporting
Mm-hmm.
measures that align the city with that, something like that. So
Mhm.
that we're not directly calling on people to support the ordinance, but we're
Mhm.
calling for them to support the ideas of it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which logically would lead to an ordinance. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right.
and if not the ordinance committee, the city solicitor would know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that costs money and the ordinance committee does not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay. You got that, Rebecca? Feel like you
Well, sure. And she's being recorded, by the way.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So write this down.
I've written a lot of notes, but
Okay.
but so one of the things that may be able to be determined is whether there is a date yet or not. I'm even wondering to myself, I had intended to announce, by the way, that I did attend a short city council meeting when it was specially called just to consider a couple of things.
Oh, right. That's
So
right.
I was there. They're really largely housekeeping, but
Mhm.
the meeting took place. But I wonder when their next one is, because I'm not even sure about that. Did we think that they were kind of off for the summer, or their schedule might be different?
Mhm.
Maybe I can find out by looking at the city calendar.
Mhm.
So it looks like they're meeting, the council's meeting tomorrow.
Yes, they have that big
Okay.
meeting to consider whether they're overriding the mayor's veto,
Yeah, okay.
Mm.
Okay.
which I hope one of us is going to.
Well, that would be the next question. And let
But
me look at my,
we're not there on the agenda.
let
know.
me,
Yeah.
well, I think we
Angela?
as who we are, we've been
I think it's
trying-
Angela. It's time to go.
Oh,
I just
Is it
want
time to
say
eat?
goodbye. I will watch the video for the 9th agenda item because that one is particularly important to me.
Right.
So
Okay.
thank you so
Okay.
much for having me, and I hope to see you in person soon.
Okay, great. Thank you, Angela.
Thanks for coming.
Bye, Alton.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
take care.
What were you saying, Rebecca?
One question might be whether one of us is on deck for that meeting tomorrow.
Mhm.
And maybe that should be me unless any of you can do it.
Yeah, I just
I
don't,
cannot.
I just can't right now. Tomorrow night. I'm sorry.
Okay, so that's when, 6 o'clock?
Is it possible for you to go? And of course, it's going to be virtual.
6 o'clock. Oh, right. Well, that makes it a little easier. Here I'm thinking
Yeah.
going, that makes it a little easier actually. So here, let me just make sure to put it in my calendar.
Mhm.
And yeah, so just at least to be there.
Mhm. Mhm.
And,
Mhm.
maybe I'll anyway, I'll reach out to the rules folks too and try to get a sense of when things are happening. Because maybe we can time our own
Mhm.
statement
Mhm. Mhm.
to this.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Okay. Thank you, Rebecca.
Oh, sure.
Okay. So item number 9.
And then at 8 o'clock, I am going to have to leave.
Me too, really. Yeah.
All of us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let Alton go too.
Yeah.
Dinner's cooking.
Yeah. See, my family keeps poking in like I, they know how they're cooking something. So,
Yeah.
I think, I've got my headphones on. You probably hear them better than I do.
Yeah. Okay, so next steps for the establishment of a relationship with the Hassana-Misko Nipmuc people. So
I have been in communication with Troy
great, awesome.
about
There.
other things.
Uh-huh. Awesome.
And also in community, because at another organization I'm with, we're having our big annual dinner
Mhm.
on October 8th.
Mhm.
So considering that weekend is Indigenous Peoples Day,
Mhm.
which I think we should take note of in this agenda item,
Mhm.
we were looking at ways to include
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
And it turns out, since this organization is in Cambridge, it's the Massachusetts tribe,
Mhm.
not Nipmuc. Nipmuc is out here. So it's Wampanoags and Massachusetts in that area.
Mhm.
And also, I've been in touch with a number of people because we were looking for Native American chefs.
Mhm.
And in the course of that, I found out there's 2 things that I announced. One is the series of webinars,
Right. Mhm.
which I will find as we talk.
Mhm.
And also that there is, and I sent it to you. I
Yes.
sent it to everybody.
Yes. I got
And
it.
then I wrote to them and said, how do we find out the link? And I heard back just today or yesterday that they will send out the link. And now I'm on the mailing list.
Mhm.
And the other is that there's a Nipmuc festival in Turner's Falls this Saturday and Sunday.
Mhm. Mhm. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I have found out all these things,
Mhm.
none of which is particularly useful to us and what we're trying to do, I think.
Mhm. Mhm. Right.
But I feel as though I have a foot in a door somewhere.
Right. I mean, obviously, going to the Turner's Falls event might lead us to meeting some people there. And I know that one of the webinars looked excellent, but I think the date had just passed when I saw it. It was like the intro one. It was the first one. Yeah. I would want to ask them when that might take place again. I mean, that seems like something excellent for like our library to put on, or yeah.
Well, there's a whole schedule of events. And there's like 3 or 4 other events.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is that we've talked about 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
One is one is an educational program for the community or the schools.
Mm-hmm.
But the other is what we might want to do for Indigenous Peoples Weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in favor of us doing something that isn't flag raising,
Yeah.
but that is educational.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that, because I think we were sufficiently humbled in in learning that the flag raising would mean nothing to them, and it really ought to be about us learning about them, and not doing something symbolic that's kind of empty for them. So,
and
yeah.
I found the list of seminars, and one of them is today. And did I get a notice of how to tune into it? No. So the next one is August 10th, Centering Relationality, Working with and for Native Communities. That seems to have our name on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What time?
It's August 10th.
No, what time?
They don't say, so I'll write back to this person and ask her.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm saying that because, I thought I was in the loop, and here I'm not.
Right.
And then August 16th is Nipmuc History Part 2, the 20th century to the present.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
And then August 29th is Land Acknowledgements and More. But it sounds like the 10th and the 16th.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a great idea to see if, it might be too late for them to, shoot, I just rubbed my eye. It might be too late for them to give notice of it or put it on in the library or anything. But I think that's a wonderful idea. Maybe they could rebroadcast it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. August 10th is Thursday next week. Is that true?
I think so. Yeah.
Thursday, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think the fine print says 3:00 in the afternoon. August 10th, Centering Relationality, Working with and for Native Communities.
If we had, if our Easthampton media or our TV station were something that people frequently had on, we could rebroadcast that at a more reasonable hour, or it could be repeated a few times.
Well, but they also have a YouTube.
Yeah.
They have a YouTube, and they also put it on their website. So if we were to publicize it, it could go on all 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we would need to get permission from the Nipmuc people to.
I now have the name of the person who's organizing it. When I write back to her, why don't I copy? So I copy all of us?
Or maybe on just the answers. Yeah. Just forward the answers. But back to Indigenous Peoples Day, I think we need to figure out what would be valuable for us to do and valuable for them to do. Troy was very much about how the relationship is what's important, not these symbolic things. So,
well, they're going to be very busy that weekend because there's a big march always in Boston. I don't know what they do out here, so it may be that what we're going to have to do is join whatever they have planned. So maybe the thing to do is to find out what they have planned, and if anything is planned for Western Mass.
Okay.
And we'll probably find that out August 6th. Is anybody but me going to go?
I would like to go.
If you do, maybe we could go together.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah, I'll be in touch. Yeah, I would like to go.
I could go on Sunday and I can't go on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a conflict on Sunday and my Saturdays are usually a challenge, so I don't know. I would love to go, but
So I would say it's fair to say that we'll make an exploratory inquiry at the Nipmuc Festival to find out what is planned for Indigenous Peoples Weekend, and if there's a way for us to plug the community into that, or if there's something that can be done here.
That sounds good.
And so what they would suggest.
Right. That sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. I suspect that everybody's going to be tied up and it's going to be a question of us going to them. But we can figure that out. And also you brought up Easthampton Media. We can ask Easthampton Media if they would film it and broadcast it.
Right.
You know, or make something that could be used in the schools.
Yeah. Another thought was, we could do another film event like we did for Black History Month, Black History Year. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
We can ask for suggestions of film.
That is a great idea.
I saw a film trailer for a film on, it wasn't our local tribe, but just in Native Americans in general. It looked so intense. It looked very good, but very intense. And I can't remember where I saw it. So
Well, talk about intense films. I saw, there's a UMass connection. There's a UMass connection. They had a number of films. And I think that's where I saw this extraordinary film on a school in Maine and the survivors of the incarceration of children there. And if we could do something like that, and then as you organized for the Huey film, have a talk back.
Right.
I think that would be fabulous.
Yeah.
But again, we've learned our lesson. We've been schooled, and we should run this idea.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Right. Okay.
But that might be something where we're not asking people to interrupt what's really their weekend to do something for us.
Yeah, I think you and I can be diplomatic about that and trying to get a little information without burdening them this weekend. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Even just meeting the people that then we can email later, So, okay. Anything else on that topic? Then item 10 was about, what we would do after a resolution is passed.
which resolution?
This was born out of that meeting we had several months ago in May, where we were sort of talking about procedures, like if we were to all suddenly resign from the CRC and new members came in, wouldn't it be nice if they had a book of our procedures on what would be done, for example, when a resolution passes? What would the CRC be doing about that? So, Mary?
I'm really sorry, Emily, but it's almost 8 o'clock and I have to leave. But also, I would like people to write down and take a look at this, because in my search for Native American chefs, it turns out there's the Nolumbeka project in Greenfield, Massachusetts.
How do you spell that?
NOLUMBEKA project,
Okay.
all one word, .org.
Okay.
Honoring Northeastern tribal heritage.
Mm-hmm.
Click here for information about the festival. We envision a Connecticut River Valley where the histories, cultures, and persistence of Northeastern indigenous peoples are recognized and celebrated, and where all beings coexist in balance and reciprocity.
Mm-hmm.
And I now have an email and a name.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. Okay. So let's quickly
I think
decide.
they're putting on the festival.
Yeah, they're going to be at the festival.
They may be. They're here. It is on their website.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's presented by the Nolambika Project and River Culture, Unity Park, Turner's Falls.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there we go.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well,
Okay.
I want to say good night. This
Yeah.
evening was well spent. I am so glad that I was able to join you all and get some insight into how you guys do things. And Emily, we'll talk soon. And
Okay.
we'll take good care, okay?
Okay.
You
Thanks.
too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good.
We're glad you could join us.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, so we need to decide the date that we're meeting next. It's supposed to be September 5th if we just go by the first Tuesday of the month.
And we already know that Mary will be in Australia. I mean, you could always zoom in, but you know,
Well, 6 p.m. in Australia. Actually,
you have to add what, 14 hours or something.
it's 4 a.m.
Mhm.
6
so
p.m. Well, 12 would get you to 6 a.m. So
No, I
I think.
just looked it up.
Oh, okay. All right.
4 a.m. If it were 5 a.m., I would do it because I'm up, but I'm not going to do 4 a.m.
Understood.
Sorry.
Well, we could start our meeting, and then anything that needs voting and all of that could be in our second hour, or we could start at maybe at like 6:30, and then we'd be
I mean,
on by 7.
I hate to be a pain in the neck, but my World Time Buddy says that if it were 6 p.m. in East Longmeadow, it's 8 a.m. in Sydney, Australia. Now, Sydney Australia has more than one time zone. But,
Right. It is 4 a.m.
Well, that's,
It is, okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
So it is, I have to figure out these things all the time because I have to talk to my sister.
I see.
Mhm.
Although,
Okay.
wait a minute. No, it's not. I think you're right. What is this website telling me?
Mhm.
See, I figured that Australia
is 15 hours ahead
Mhm.
and another day.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, well, if you add 12, then you get 6 p.m. to 6
You're right.
a.m.
It's 8 a.m. It's 8 a.m.
Okay.
So if you remind me, because I will be on a different day than you, then
Yeah.
I can join.
Mhm. Okay.
So you want to do that?
So yeah, that's great. But do we want to tentatively schedule another meeting on
On maybe another Tuesday during this month because we've got a lot to do.
like August 15th, maybe 2 weeks
So-
from now?
You're leaving August 22nd, right? How does August 15th look, Mary?
I'm looking.
Oh, I know that some other Tuesdays didn't work for you, but
August 15th, I actually have a meeting from 5:30. I can't.
I see. Yeah.
It's exciting. We have so much to do, isn't it?
Mhm. Mm-hmm. Mary,
Yeah,
can you tell us any other night that week?
Wednesday.
Good. Wednesday, the 16th. That was one of the NIPMUC events, but that might be okay.
But isn't that at 3 p.m.?
Oh, you're right.
Well, I have something that I
Oh,
may need to do from 8 p.m. and it's on Zoom. There is a dedicated human being in Chicago who does an intimate dialogue on race and asks questions. And I've begun to say, well, maybe I'll answer your questions too, along with other people. And so he is at least considering me for Wednesday the 16th. That's in Chicago. It starts at 7 their time and 8 o'clock my time. If we had a meeting, then I'd want to leave in time to catch my breath.
I don't think we should have meetings that are longer than 2 hours anyway.
no. Yeah, maybe.
Right. So it should be 6 to 7:30, honestly. And then I'll have a half an hour.
All right. Let's say that.
To breathe, right?
Okay. Okay, 6 to 7:30 on August 16th. But we'll make sure Marla can make it so we have a quorum.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ideally, because that way we can vote on things.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And now, maybe that wouldn't, I'm just sort of thinking I could look and see if it can be a hybrid. But if it is, I'll really want to leave at 7:30 so I can run home.
Yeah, and what I'll do is I'll really look at the agenda and really try to keep it small and targeted. So because we all have homework already.
But
right?
Emily, if it's a special meeting, why don't we focus on these 3 things we're working on?
NIPMUC, human rights. Oh, wait. The 16th, I think that's the Northampton HRC meeting.
Is it? Yeah.
Why is that a problem?
Well, I was thinking of attending that, but
and did they say you're on a subcommittee?
But we're your
with us?
family, Emily.
what was that?
I think they should be part of our family too, because I really think co-sponsorships and making relationships is a good way to go.
Right.
Well, there's 2 ways to think of Easthampton. Either we're a suburb of Northampton or we're a suburb of Holyoke. And I tend towards the latter.
Well, it might be nice.
But it's so after 8 o'clock.
I know.
Yeah, that's true.
Why don't we stick to an agenda where we have the ordinance, we have NIPMUC, we have Porch Fest, we have
maybe those 3.
Maybe those 3, because we won't have much on the human rights stuff yet. So
I feel like Porch Fest will really be coming up sooner than we think.
Yeah.
So that we'd really have to.
So let's have a very focused meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay. Great.
All right.
Thank you.
And we'll coordinate about the 6th, right?
Right.
Emily?
Sorry, what?
We'll coordinate about the 6th.
Yes.
Yeah. So I
You
make a
have my phone
motion.
number?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
on my emails.
Yeah, send it in your email. Or is it?
It is on my emails.
Yeah, okay. I would have.
So I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Yes, please.
All in favor?
We
Okay.
can't vote.
Well, for adjourning, I really, I'm going to make exception for adjourning. Could you imagine if we could not close a meeting?
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.